Juliet, are you ready to see some rubber production?
Tapping we wait until maybe around
3, 4
until
hours.
10 or 11
11 to
a.m.
12.
and then
This is our invention. The tapping
this
knife.
even the newbie they say they can tap with a good quality. I don't know, I haven't tried.
Yeah, it's control the depth. Yeah,
The depth and then
and the
the-
thickness. You ask about the machine.
Yes.
If we tap with the machine, it's more complex. But when we use the normal, the traditional one, we can control the depth and the thickness. For tapping.
Ini konsumsinya tipis.
Okay.
The thickness is very small, 1 to 1.5 millimeters. The thickness.
Okay, 1 to 1.5
Yeah.
millimeters.
For the depth, it's maximum 1.5 to 2 from cambium.
And that's important because you need to get, what, like 30 years out of one tree?
Yes. If you cut into the cambium, it will make the scars in the bark. Then if you back to the panel, you can tap this because the scars, like this.
But you can't go back and do this part again. You can?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The first time we tap the panel A, this is the renewal bark.
This is regrown, you're saying? Oh,
Have you seen the last time?
okay.
Maybe
Yeah.
10 years ago.
The first bark is like this.
Yeah.
You
The
can see the
15 bark.
difference.
Does it matter how high you go?
Around 130, but it's depend on your head because you have to control your tapping.
So more for the person doing the work, not for the tree.
That's why we have to tap the trees in the morning.
And look, it immediately
Yeah,
starts to come out.
If you tap in the morning, will be faster.
Yeah.
The flow.
the flow is faster.
Did he already use this, the max flow?
Yes. Not yet.
Do you paint it on or how do you put it on?
It's ready to use. Some product have to make the proportion with water.
Is that being sold around the world or just here in Indonesia?
No, not yet. We hope so. We just make the paint with that. One day before we tapping. If you want to tap tomorrow, we apply now. Every 2 weeks. You cannot apply every day. But in the young tree, you just apply once a month.
The symptom of pestalocyosis disease. This is like circular disease, circular necrotic.
And this is the leaf drop disease. So it causes the leaves to drop early. And then that weakens the tree because it can't produce energy. The root rot is only during the wet season.
Yes.
Okay.
This is on the track, the normal track.
That was my first time ever taking off my shoes to use a public bathroom. I wanted to figure out a way of producing natural rubber or latex, but from a crop here in the United States. And this is a project that Thomas Edison was working on in the last few years of his life. And so it's been fun. I've gotten to know the people here at the estate, and they were kind enough to share with me some seeds and also plant material from a descendant of the hybrid goldenrod, which Edison was really working on at the end and felt had the most promise, which is really important because you still need natural latex for about 25% of applications, even in the modern world. So things, a lot of medical supplies, gloves and hoses, but also the walls of tires and airplane tires all have to be made of natural latex, which currently only comes from Southeast Asia. The rubber tree originally is from South America, but there's a disease there, a blight, which has killed it all off. So it's very hard to produce rubber in South America or Central America. And so all of it's coming from Southeast Asia, which creates a bit of a problem for the United States, especially if we were ever to have some type of conflict, perhaps, where our supply lines were cut off from Southeast Asia. So I really think that, for one, the US should probably be incentivizing farms here in southern Florida and also Puerto Rico to be growing rubber trees, because they take about 5 years to become productive, and then they're productive for another 25 years at least. And they really are the #1 way to produce latex. It's very efficient. But if you can't do that, then we need another crop. I just think that Edison was really on a better path here. He made this hybrid of a goldenrod, and it reached 12% latex in the leaves. And I'm gonna test that claim, because as far as I can tell, nobody has tested that in the 100 years since he said it. Naturally, goldenrod would only contain about 4.5 to 6% latex. And so his claim of 12% is really quite staggering, actually. It's way more than any naturally occurring plant. And so I think it's a good starting point. They gave me some seeds, so I'm gonna grow them, and we're gonna dry the leaves, crush them, test them for latex levels. And if we do have a plant with 12% yield, then I think it becomes, how can we take it further now? With modern technology and genetic modification, I think that we might be able to increase the size of the leaves. So we wouldn't necessarily try to get a higher yield of latex, but we would increase the size of the leaves on the goldenrod plant. And that might allow us to make a very effective crop for harvesting latex. But the great thing about goldenrod is it's basically a weed. It can grow anywhere in North America. You could quickly produce a large latex crop quickly if needed. So there are other crops which people have looked into for use to produce latex. There's been a lot of money spent on guayule, which is a shrub that was used by the Aztec to make some of the first rubber balls in history. The issue that I see with guayule is that it takes about 3 years to reach maturity. The amount of plant matter that you produce is relatively small, and you only get about 4.5% yield out of the stems. You can't use the leaves, only the stems contain latex. And the first thought was to genetically modify a bacteria or yeast, and through biofermentation tanks, we could maybe produce latex faster and cheaper. Well, it turned out that a team working with NASA did try doing this in 2016, and I spoke to them, but unfortunately they didn't have great results. They got a very small amount of latex, and it was prohibitively labor intensive and energy intensive to produce latex that way, because you need more plant matter. Whereas goldenrod makes a lot of sense. It can grow in all 50 states. It requires very little water, it's very easy to maintain, and it produces a huge amount of biomass. I volunteered for a couple of days at the Edison estate in Fort Myers, and we actually went around the estate and picked up goldenrod plants that we found just growing randomly, and we planted them in one large bed. So now visitors to the estate can see goldenrod growing just as it would have been in those last years of Edison's life. And who knows, maybe one of those was actually a seed from one of his hybrids. Juliet, what are you doing? Watering goldenrod here at the Edison estate, is that what you're doing? While I was there, I collected 2 huge trash bags full of leaves and dried them out and pulverized them, and that became this. So 2 20-gallon trash bags became this small amount of plant matter. But my next step is to, well, I'm going to pulverize it a little bit more, then put it into this, which is called a soxhlet extractor. And oddly enough, this is exactly what Edison used back in the 1930s. so it hasn't changed. The Soxhlet extractor is really an ingenious device. It was invented in 1879, and the way it works is I'm going to fill this with acetone, and then that's going to be heated, and the vapor will come up through here, through this tube, and then it's going to go into the condenser where it's cooled by this flowing water. It'll drip back down here onto our plant matter, go through the cotton, up through this little tube, and then back down. And here it will collect all of the oils, vitamins, and chlorophyll that we don't need. This is very scientific. Use a piece of copy paper. After using the acetone to remove everything from the goldenrod plant material, I was left with this dry powder, which should still have the latex in it. So the next step was to use a solvent to remove the latex. I decided to use xylene, which is the same one that Edison would have used 100 years ago. However, I was concerned that it wouldn't remove all of the latex. So after boiling the material in these for about a day with the xylene, I did it a second time for another day in lacquer thinner, which is about 50% toluene. I wanted to use pure toluene, but it's difficult to get, whereas this is available at Home Depot. So 50% toluene should have taken out even more latex. The next step, I'm going to have to empty this out. However, there's so much liquid, there's so much solvent in the plant matter that it's not going to just pour out. So I'll have to use a vacuum to pull that moisture out. And then we'll distill it all, removing the solvents, and we should just have latex left. It seems to almost be finished vacuuming out the solvent, so I'm just going to wash it from the top with a little bit of fresh solvent, and hopefully we collect any remaining latex. I let the vacuum run for about 30 minutes in the last batch. All right, so this should be one of our last steps. This is a condenser, and I'm just going to heat up our solvent, which should have the latex in it. The solvent will go down here and condense so that we can collect it. Just better for the environment. I could have thrown this on a plate outside and let it evaporate. Now that I removed all the solvent, I'm left with this, which should be latex. And when I touch it, it does feel like rubber. So I'm going to scrape this all out, put it on the scale, and see what our yield is. Wow, this is some gooey stuff. All right, well, I think that's about all I can get out of here. You can see there's still some in here, but kind of diminishing returns to my effort. So, yeah, there's not much. It's definitely like less than 1/10 of a gram. All right, so where are we at? 5.25 grams. We started with 180 grams of goldenrod material, and so that works out to a 1.9% yield. That's less than half of what I expected. So what I think probably happened is we probably lost some latex in this batch, which is the byproduct that we made using the acetone. I'm guessing some of the latex extracted into here, and I do want to have this tested to see exactly what's in it. In any case, it was a fun project, and now I got to see what to do with this latex. Maybe I can try vulcanizing it. Just need to find some sulfur and a little catalyst, and that'd be an interesting project.